So today I am going to talk about our DeFi ecosystem here at Metis. So our ecosystem is absolutely exploding. We're seeing hockey stick level growth, and there's a few drivers of this. So the first being that we're an open protocol. So we support permissionless launches. So any developer can go ahead and launch directly on our network. We are EVM equivalent. So for people that are familiar with the EVM machine, they are able to, really easily integrate. And one of the trends that we've seen in this adoption is the rise of the fair launch, which is really supports the ethos of Web3. So this is kind of going to be the focus of the case studies that I'm looking at today in our DeFi ecosystem and the different methods at which some of these protocols have approached their fair launch and the success they've seen as a result. And as was mentioned, our TVL has absolutely gone through the roof, and we are at over 500 million TVL, and we only launched our mainnet in November of 2021. So only 8 weeks after launching, we hit that 500 million mark. And we are currently ranked as number 3 in terms of total TVL, according to all L2s. So our first case study is Netswap. So not only is Netswap the first native layer 2 DEX in history, they are also our at Metis native DEX. So beyond the typical fast and cheap transactions that you'd hope for, they've got some really innovative features like a built-in leverage swap function that's powered by WowSwap. They have community governance, which is going to be rolling out right away. And then they had a fair and open token distribution. So I'm going to talk a bit about what made their fair launch so successful. So the mechanism that they did is as a DEX, they actually launched their DEX before they launched their token. And they basically had a period of time where people were incentivized to go ahead and use that DEX and rack up score points. So by swapping or providing liquidity, there were various calculations. And essentially, the more you used it, the more points you got. And at the end of the month, there was an airdrop. And that was how the first emission of tokens happened. So there was no, VCs, there was no backdoor anything. It was totally community focused, community driven. And they saw not only explosive token price, but their TVL went through the roof, as well as their trading volume. They hit $1 billion in trading volume in very short order after launching. So that was the first very successful DeFi project. Another one I would like to highlight is Agora. So Agora is a compound fork which enables borrowing and lending on the Metis protocol. So unlike Netswap, which is an official partner and was incubated by Metis, Agora actually hit the scene in a stealth mode. So we saw them on Twitter, we saw little murmurs, but we weren't sure who these guys were. And within a week, just driven completely by a community, they had racked up $54 million in TVL. So by that point, they caught our attention. And, we started talking to them, and now they're an official partner, and we really like what they're doing over there. But it was a similar structure with their fair launch. So essentially, as a lending borrowing protocol, they were incentivizing people not only through anyways. So we were going through, and the fair launch, I was just talking about that. So yeah, same thing. They had no private investors, no pre-mining, no team allocation. They essentially were just incentivizing people to come in and use their protocol, and beyond the typical yield that they were earning, either lending or the interest they were paying borrowing, they would be racking up these Agora tokens in a launch that was still yet to come. But that was another really interesting use case. So the final project I was hoping to touch on today is Binary DAO. And this is an example of an ongoing, very recently launched just on Monday, fair launch system. So what Binary DAO is a reserve currency protocol, but they are claiming to be the next evolution of the reserve currency protocol. So they use their treasury to bootstrap and invest in early stage crypto projects. And essentially what they're doing for their fair launch is they're doing whitelist mining. So instead of like Netswap or Agora, where you're earning the tokens directly, with this in 3 phases, you're able to mine your allocation size for a token sale. So currently we're in the whitelist liquidity mining. So you're able to deposit Netswap LP tokens into their pools and essentially earn more tokens or the allocation of tokens to be purchased at a later date. And again, they're going to be community governed. So these are all just very, Web3 ethos complete sorts of case studies. And really driving all of this is our builder mining program, or I should say a core driver of it. And I just wanted to highlight this piece. This is a key competitive advantage of Metis and something that we're doing that we really don't see in any other ecosystem. So essentially, we've taken more than half of our entire token supply and dedicated it to this particular activity over the next 10 years. So the way it works is 30% of all the transaction fees that are generated by the smart contracts on our network are redistributed in kickbacks to the specified wallet of these owners. So essentially, you can come on our network. You can do it permissionlessly. You don't need to be a partner with us. You can apply for the builder mining program. And if your smart contract and DApp are generating a lot of transactions, a lot of activity, you're essentially going to be funding yourself for the next 10 years, which in crypto is pretty much in perpetuity. So this is a really epic program that we offer, and one of our core competitive advantages, something I just wanted to highlight. So beyond the world of DeFi, we also have a very strong focus on building out our NFT, our metaverse, GameFi, DAO, and infrastructure ecosystems. We've got a ton of exciting stuff in the works, always going on behind the scenes, and we are always looking to connect with promising projects. And we have an open door policy for anyone looking to contribute to our ecosystem in any way. So on that note, my personal Telegram is always open. I've dropped it here. Feel free to reach out if you have any further questions. And I've also linked our business development Calendly booking link if anyone wants to have a chat with our biz dev team. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you learned something cool.
There's so many great things to talk about in your presentation, and I'll save some questions after the other presenters, but can you explain this fair launch? It's something that you guys talked about in your last presentation about a year ago, but it's now come to reality. And can you just walk us through what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So the typical fundraising route, and very typical in crypto as well, is projects come up with an idea and they reach out to venture capitalists or investment firms and they say, hey, we would like you to buy X amount of our tokens. We're going to give you a huge discount. And before we even go to the public, we will basically multiply the price that you paid, and then we will sell the token initially at a much higher price. So it basically bakes in the investor's profit at that point. And it basically is an unfair playing field for people like us that are just looking to buy into a cool project that we hear about. So it creates, again, the main thing is an unlevel playing field where early investors, the people that already have all the money and the big bags, they're the ones that are getting early access to these projects, getting like guaranteed, 100, 200,000, 100,000% increases in some of these projects. And ultimately, this isn't power to the people. And really what we're focused on in this world of crypto and decentralization is bringing more power back to the people, and all of the people, and people equitably, not just the people that have the connections and the money in the first place. So ultimately, these fair launches are really important. And we've seen in Metis how effective they can be in drawing in the community. And this isn't to say that the VCs and all these other funds can't participate in these community launches or these fair launches, but ultimately it puts everyone on the same playing field to start, which is super important.
So you don't go through the sales rounds of, pre-sale, seed, after seed, all the way to public. You just basically open up one round. And what community do you take that round to?
So in this case, it's, well, in the case of the examples I gave, it's really the Metis community at large. These projects operate on our Andromeda network. So you obviously need to be on our network to be involved in this. But we have bridges from pretty much all chains at this point. So there's not too many barriers to entry in that respect. But really anyone that is able to is, welcome. There's no discrimination.
If you want to participate, last question, I promise. Participate in the fair launch, how do you go about it so that our audience can get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the case of Netswap, their fair launch is complete at this point, but there are still options for Agora and for Binary DAO. So for Agora, you would basically go to their website, Agora DeFi, and you would either deposit or you would lend or borrow, basically. Well, to borrow, you have to lend, but you would use their protocol and you would just begin earning tokens on the side on top of the interest. And then once that token launches, which actually should be pretty soon, it'll be claimable. And then you'll be able to redeem those tokens. And in the case of Binary DAO, currently what they're doing is the whitelist allocation. So instead of directly earning those tokens, you're earning the dollar amount that you are getting the opportunity to buy. So you're basically the longer you stake your LP tokens in there, and how much it is will determine how much you're able to purchase on the sale date. It's a bit confusing compared to the other ones, but the process for that is you provide liquidity on Netswap, which is the DEX, and there's 5 specific pools, and you can see that on Binary DAO's homepage. And then you basically take your LP receipt and you put that in one of the pools on Binary DAO, and then there's calculations and weightings and stuff, and that's all kind of reported on the page, so you can track that as it goes live.